That is the wind turbine Ecotech, 11.6 miles away from where I am. Bit of useless information. It's about the limit of the camera. It's quite an old camera nowadays, 5 megapixel. That house is probably a quarter of a mile away. And I'm behind the glass, which is probably not helping. Just playing with the camera. Well, I thought today we'd bring a little bit of a running session for a change. Now I've got the board out, I've got loads of locos to test and try out, and maybe if I get a chance to chuck the DCC chips in them. If not, we're going to have a DC running session as well. But there's a problem with this camera mount, or a lot of these camera mounts, unless you've got hundreds of pounds invested in Manfrotto cameras. It's this. Oh dear. Not going to do much tilting and panning, are we? One moment. So it's not perfect because we're still on the old creaky mount, but I have another photographic mount that screws on top, which is a little bit better for panning and tilting. You still get a little bit of creaking. Obviously, as you can tell, it's not a high-end one, but let's continue with the show. Am I going to get photobombed? No. to run a Loco being your own name, isn't it? Noisy little devil, isn't it? Rattled one of its windows loose like. So I'm still playing around with this because I had some sort of strange behaviour with the sound functions when you press the button once. It doesn't do it, then you press it again, it does. And then you press it again and it doesn't. They're the station announcements, so I don't know whether they have to be done in a certain sequence or something. Or don't know. They didn't really tell you enough about the CV settings, what they do and the functions and what they do. It's still got the trippy connector hook, the coupling hook still jumps, and we have got the rattly speaker syndrome. It's not as bad as some people's. It's worse if you do the steam heater boiler. The bass on that seems to be the worst, but this is the first time it's done any pulling. I dug out my old dusty air fixes and give it another shakedown test. So we'll park her up, take her off the track and see what else we can play with. Bit of a tight spot there. Even realistic wobbly track going over Hornby points there. So this was a treat to myself. Can't remember when it was now, whether it was this year or last year. I think it was earlier this year. Which is a limited Bachmann limited edition. Obviously the colour scheme, the livery, is WAGN, which I think was West Anglia Great Northern or something. But the engineer happened to be called Clive, and they named the engine Clive, I think, when he retired or something. So it is quite nicely detailed with all the handrails made out of wire. The front has been, whether the person that owned it has put the detailing on. You can see the NEM couplings are hidden by a little removable panel. If you want to put the NEM couplings in, I probably won't use it actually, so I might just put, I've got some of the Accurascale 3-link couplings, so I may pull those hooks out and change them at some stage, because this is more of a, just, you know, it'll run about and do nothing. It's not the period I'm modelling, although I'm not, you know, an absolute purist, obviously, because I've got it, and I've also got a Class 66 as well. If I like it, I'll buy it. I mean, even the Deltic is, obviously, I think they were phased out in '82, so, you know, it's just on the beginning of my modelling era. But they are an iconic machine, so that's why I bought it. And it was going to be, obviously, a benchmark in improvements on modelling design. So, obviously it's got a few issues of bits falling off. So my jury's out at the minute. I'm going to, you know, play with it a little bit more, and then if I'm not happy, I'll send it back for exchange, repair, replacement or whatever. It's a lot of money, despite what other people seem to think that, come on, we're modelers, as someone was said in the forum. Yeah, if you buy a kit, you model it. When you spend 270 quid on a machine that's supposed to be working scale model, you don't expect to stick the bits back on. And hopefully Accurascale have got enough stock and backup that they can actually do what they say on the tin, as opposed to Hornby, who conveniently sell everything and then say they haven't got any repairs, spares or replacements, which is obviously a deliberate thing because they know they're basically selling crap. If you can't get it exchanged, you're going to have to lump it, aren't you? So that's their mantra, because it's not run by railway enthusiasts, it's run by a business consortium that are only interested in the bottom line. The group that own Hornby, I've been owned myself by a similar company who then got sold to Arriva. And it was, you know, just basically it's like corporate America, you know, they're not worried about the product, they're only worried about maximising the profit for the shareholders. Nothing to do with passion for the industry or a hobby or wanting to provide a service. All they are interested in is the bottom line. Anyway, we shan't rant about that. This is modelling, or watching models, or toy trains, whatever you want to call it. Bloody expensive toy trains though.